YouTube family, what's up, man? It's CJ. We're back with another video. I know it's been a while, but we're here to talk about pre-emergent. Just a quick background for myself. I know a lot of my videos are based on organic lawn care, and that's still very much so what I'm about. But just a quick background, when I first started in lawn care in 2019, I was mainly just cutting, but I started spraying yards, and I was really just going on the advice of the guys that I was getting my products from. And those guys were used to taking care of golf courses, which of course is Bermuda grass. And going off their advice, I kind of messed up my yard and my customers' yards because you don't care for Bermuda grass the same way that you care for centipede grass. I was definitely over maintenance in the grass, putting down way too much nitrogen, putting down insecticides and fungicides when it wasn't necessary. I didn't have a problem. I was putting it down as a precautionary, just following advice. But centipede grass doesn't like all that. So the first year, it looked great. I got a bunch of compliments on my yard and my customer yard. And then slowly it started coming down. Like when it came back the next year, there were big patches in it. And it just kept going. I started getting a bunch of fungus and all these things. And I guess I was in the process of what they call centipede decline. So then I swung the pendulum and started, to realize that fungicides are not necessarily the best way to deal with a fungus. That there's a such thing as the soil life, and you have to take care of the soil and the organisms that are in the soil, and that they'll help prevent disease. So then, like I said, I swung the pendulum and I went kind of full organic, which was very successful for me, if I had to be honest. My grass grew thickly. It grew thick. I didn't have, diseases. I didn't have fungus. I didn't have to worry about bugs attacking my yards. But I did have a problem with weeds, and one weed specifically, Lespedeza. Now, Lespedeza is a low-growing, what they call a prostrate weed. So honestly, my customers didn't even really notice it. It kind of blended in with the yard. You couldn't really tell. My wife couldn't tell in our yard, but I noticed, and it kind of drove me crazy every time I went to a customer's yard, just to see that Lespedeza, made me feel like I wasn't doing what I was paid to do. You know what I mean? So as far as I know, there aren't any good solutions organically to take care of weeds, to keep weeds under control. I've listened to a bunch of guys that say, the grass will do it and this, that, and third, but I had thick grass and I still had the Lespedeza. So I think now I am more in the mind frame of a hybrid program. I still will not just be putting down insecticides and fungicides and all that stuff just as precautionary. I believe that the goal is still to create a healthy lawn that will, fight those things off on their own. And, if they're necessary as a spot treatment, that's one thing, but definitely still not going to be putting that down all the time. But I have kind of changed my thinking to also including pre-emergence. I don't want to, be chasing weeds, putting out a bunch of post-emergent. So starting in October, I did put down pre-emergent, put down spectacle flow in October. I put down spectacle flow in December, and then I put down a pre-emergent right here in February, and that's what we'll talk about in this video. Just as an update on how the spectacle flow and all is done so far, this is my yard. It's still dormant, but as you can see, it's completely brown. There's no green. If you have green in your yard right now, that means that you have some kind of weeds going on. But yeah, man, it's done an excellent job as far as keeping the yard maintained. I think that it looks great so far. So this is the product that we're here to talk about today. This is Dimension. It is a pre-emergent. It is labeled to be used for southern grasses, so centipede, Bermuda grass, St. Augustine, zoysia, and all the other ones that I don't consider grass, bahia and all of that. There is a group 3 herbicide, which we will talk about a little bit, and the active ingredient is Dithiopyr. And Dithiopyr is going to be good for us because, for me, because it specifically specifically prevents Lespedeza, which is my problem. Now, as far as I can tell, that Dimension is the only product on the market that has Lespedeza, you know, specifically mentioned on the label as something, as a weed that it controls. If you know of another one, definitely let me know, especially if it's not a group 3 herbicide. And I said we would talk about that. One thing about group 3 herbicides when you're dealing with centipede grass grows through stolons. So it shoots out stolons on top of the grass, and then those stolons tack down. All right, so it's a top down grower, not a bottom up grower. Group 3 herbicides are known as root pruners. So they put down a layer of pre-emergent, you know, underground, and they prevent roots from tacking into it, you know. So if you have bare spots in your centipede grass, you definitely don't want to put, or even just weak spots, you probably don't want to put a group 3 herbicide pre-emergent right there, because it's going to prevent it from tacking down. So, you know, until that herbicide is out of the ground, you're going to continue to have bare spots there, which is going to lead to weeds, and you're kind of going to get into this cycle of never really solving the problem. Now, the spectacle flow that I put down in October and December are, I want to say they're group 29 herbicides. So they don't have that same mode of action as far as a root pruner. They do put down a chemical layer of pre-emergent, but it doesn't attack the roots like group 3 herbicides do. So just something to be mindful of if you're going to use the Dimension. I would imagine that as a homeowner, you would probably be getting your hands on a granular Dimension, you know, a granular product that has Dithiopyr as the active ingredient. But either way, you know, you're just going to put it down at the labeled rate. For myself personally, if I'm putting on a granular product, period, just to ensure that I have good coverage, I like to cut the rate in half and then, you know, go half vertical, half horizontal, instead of putting a full rate down in one direction, just in case something's off with the calibration or something. It just gives me a better spread. If you are spraying, the label is always the law, so definitely read the label. If I remember correctly, that Dithiopyr was 0.73 ounces per 1,000 square feet. So I was using a 4-pack, a 4-gallon backpack sprayer. So I think I put in 3 ounces, you know, every time. Definitely put a surfactant in there with it. And yeah, that's how I sprayed. So if you don't have a backpack sprayer, I wouldn't spray something that I'm blanket spraying with. I would definitely use a battery powered backpack sprayer. But regardless of how you get it down, whether you're spraying it down or whether you are using a granular product, follow the label, follow the application rate, and that's probably going to give you the best results. Another product that you'll probably have to use this time of year is Speed Zone, but make sure you use Speed Zone Southern. There is a Speed Zone that is not good for southern grasses. So like I said, if you're going to be using Speed Zone, make sure you use the Southern. Now, Speed Zone is a post-emergent. A lot of people also use Change Up for centipede grass, any southern grass this time of year. But Speed Zone is a post-emergent, and a lot of people will be blanket spraying Speed Zone right now. As a matter of fact, the same guys that I was telling you about when I went to pick up my product the other day, he said, why don't you just blanket spray? And I'm like, well, you know, I don't want to put down all that much chemical unnecessarily. If I'm putting down pre-emergence, then why do I have to also come and blanket spray with a post-emergent? So there were a few yards that I had weeds, especially like along the house, areas that get warmer, air conditioning vents and all of that I did have to kind of spot spray with the Speed Zone a little bit. But that's me personally, that's how I would use it. I would use it as just spot spraying. If you have, you know, little weeds that have popped up, I would spot spray, but I personally wouldn't blanket spray unless there was a yard, like if I was getting a customer that I hadn't been, if I got a new customer right now that I wasn't able to put down pre-emergence on, and they had a ton of weeds, maybe I would blanket spray, but that would also just depend on the type of weeds they were, because if they were just annual winter weeds, I know that in a month or two, once the weather warms up, those weeds are going to die off anyway. So that's a choice you have to make. Most homeowners want to see instant results, so I'm sure they would probably tell me to go ahead and spray it anyway, which I wouldn't like to do, but I wouldn't be completely opposed to. But nevertheless, Change Up or Speed Zone Southern are going to be your two best options as far as a post-emergent to be putting on right now, with the with the temperatures being what they are. Once the temperatures warm up, you'll be able to use different post-emergents that work better, using the sun. But in cooler weather, Speed Zone and Change Up are going to be your two good options. Lastly, as a homeowner, again, we're all about the soil health, all right, taking care of the soil. So as many times as you can, even if it's just once a year, but as many times as you can, you want to be putting down soil amendments. Two good ones that I know about, the Anderson store has, I want to say their product is called Human Char, and then John and Bob's, another company, they have, I think it's either Optimize or Maximize. I actually think that it's Optimize. That's basically just like carbon for the soil, and that's what you want to be constantly putting into your soil, because that's what your soil organisms feed on. Now, if you build good healthy grass, it will feed a lot of your it will feed your soil organisms. That relationship that they have, that's what they do for each other. The soil organisms kind of keep the pests and the fungus and the insects and all of those things away, and in return, the grass feeds it. You as a homeowner can help bolster that process by kind of continuously putting down soil amendments that have carbon in them. And it's not like a post-emergent herbicide or a fertilizer where you're going to see a instant result, but the effects are cumulative. They build on each other. So over the years, you're going to kind of notice, hey, I didn't have to put down as much fertilizer to get the same effect. I didn't have to water my grass so much this summer. It stood up the stress better. So those are some of the cumulative effects that you're going to get if you're just constantly putting that down, like I said, as much as you can afford. I'm sure there is a point of diminishing returns, but I think that that's very far off, because you can put down tons and tons of this stuff, and it only puts like, you got to think this is going over your whole yard. It only puts like that little bit of a layer in your yard. So that's something that I will be constantly doing. Me personally, in my business for my customers, whenever I spray, I also put it down, just because spraying is a little cheaper, so there's a little more room there to put down a second product. So October, December, February is usually when I'm putting that down for my customers, and I'm usually probably only putting down a pound or so per 1,000. Maybe they get 3 pounds per 1,000 in a year, but like I said, the effect is cumulative. So further and further down the road, they have to water less. The fertilizer is going further, stretching further. And of course, we also do this in the summertime when we put down our organic fertilizers. They're going to do the same thing. So we just kind of want to be building on top of, we want these treatments building on top of each other, and giving us good healthy grass that can kind of take care of itself and doesn't involve a bunch of human intervention. I think that's all that I have for you today. Definitely, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave it down in the comment section. Also, my website is down in the comment section. If you want to personalize this, and you want to reach out and you want to put a plan together for your yard based on your soil report, you can do that through the website. Or if you just need like a generic fertilizer plan, That's also available on the website. So definitely tap in with us if you're in the Guyton area, Rincon, Port Wentworth, any of these close areas by my home. Definitely, you could also reach out on the website and we can probably work together in person. It's always good talking to you. I mean, I don't know why I love this stuff, but I do. So thank you for listening and allowing me to share. And I probably won't do another video until I apply product again in April. But if that's how long it is, I see you guys then. Peace. Have a good one.